About 3 years ago, I was working on the river on boats, absolutely miserable. I remember just driving to work every single day, and I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to make this work. I don't know. I feel like I've given up now. I feel like I'm in a position where it's just not going to be possible for me anymore. And I ended up making it work. I ended up making it happen. So if you're watching this video right now and you're in that position where it's like, man, I just don't know if it's possible for me anymore with these current life circumstances, let me tell you how it is possible and how you can get out of that hole as well. So how it kind of worked for me, I'm not going to give you the whole spiel of my whole story or anything. I think I've done that before, but I think it is absolutely crucial for any entrepreneur to be successful, especially hyper successful, 50, 60, 100K months, $1 million months, whatever. I think you must feel called to do this from birth, almost. Like you have to have this internal burning fire pushing you in this direction where it's like, no matter how much I try to suppress it, I always feel like I need to be doing more. No matter how hard I try to just be satisfied in this 9-to-5 job, everybody tells me I'm doing great. Everybody tells me that I need to stay in this job. I need to continue, just keep these benefits, keep the 401k. But no matter how much I try to convince myself this is a good thing, I just need more. You need that in order to succeed. I know I needed that. So, and honestly, I feel like if you are called to do that, if you do have that feeling, it's a disgrace to not take advantage of it because that's a gift. Most people don't have that. That is 100% a gift to have, and it can be a double-edged sword because if you don't act on it, it's going to eat you alive for the rest of your life. It's going to eat you alive. So whenever I was working a job, right? And I was working this job and I realized I needed to get the hell out of that job. I was working as a fire extinguisher technician. I was working in a warehouse full of 40, 50, 60-year-old men. The highlight of their day was the 15-minute cigarette breaks that we got to talk shit about our bosses. And I was just looking around and was like, all these people have given up on life. I do not want to be here. I can't be here. I can't do this. Okay. That was like 3-4 years ago. And so I ended up getting really lucky, and I don't even think it was luck. I believe I'm pushing this direction by God. I think God gave me this opportunity. I got a remote IT technician job, and I started doing YouTube on the side as I was doing that job. It started to really, really take off, and I basically just neglected that job. I dropped literally everything to go all in on YouTube, to get rich on YouTube, because I saw this opportunity and because I've been called to do it. And throughout the entire process, man, everybody told me I was crazy for doing it. Every single person told me I was crazy for doing it, except for like a couple of friends here and there. But like family, I was still living with my parents, and every single time I would tell them about something good that happened with YouTube or with a business, they would say, "But you're not quitting your job, right? You're not quitting your job, right?" And like, it got to a place where I didn't quit my job because I just didn't want to tell my parents that I quit my job. But I wasn't doing shit at my job. I literally just dropped the job and I was just focusing on YouTube and just focusing on business. And then eventually, like after I was already making like 20, 30, 40K a month, the job like messaged me one day and they're like, "Hey, have you been having like technical problems?" And I was like, yeah, a little bit. And they were just like, "Can we like hop on a call real quick?" And they just played because basically what would happen is I worked the IT technician job. So I was on help desk, and people would call in and they would send the call to me. And basically what I would have to do to not have to take the call was answer the call really quick, stay on the call for like 5 seconds, and then I would just hang up. And I would go back to ready status, and I would go to the back of the line to where I could have like another free 15, 20 minutes before another call would come in. And so they just played the call recordings of me, and it was just me answering the call, sitting in silence, and then hanging up for like the last 3 months that I was working there. And it was a really awkward conversation. And I was just like, yeah, to be honest, man, I've been really distracted with some stuff going on in my life. So I feel like it's best if I just don't work here anymore. And they're like, cool. It was the most awkward conversation. But I literally, like I said, I feel called to do this. And if you do feel called to do this, I think you owe it to yourself. And I think you owe it to God, because he placed that in you. He placed that on your heart. It's not, you're not crazy for wanting to do this. It's placed on you. And a great way that I like to make decisions It was actually taught to me by Justin Waller, who I worked with for his YouTube channel. I helped him make a lot of content, and he was a mentor for me. And what he told me, and I use this to this day all the time, he called it the rocking chair test. And he was like, if you're ever at a crossroads, if you're ever having difficulty making a decision in your life, I want you to think about yourself at the end of your life, when all you can do is sit in your rocking chair, watch TV, and reminisce on all the things that you did in your entire life. Would you be proud of the decision that you're about to make? Or would you think, damn, I should have took that risk. I should have made that decision. I should have invested in myself. I should have done this. I should have done that. Whatever. Right? Like this is what I think about all the time, man, because I was a complete degenerate video game addict, and I still have that call all the time. Like I still play video games, and I still just want to absolutely just no life video games all the time. I have that call, and I just think, and I use the rocking chair test. I'm like, at the end of my life, would I ever have the thought that, damn, I should have stayed inside and played video games just for a few more hours? That's never going to cross my mind when I'm in my rocking chair at the end of my life. Never. You know, would I ever have the thought, damn, I should have just stayed in that cubicle for a few more months? No, it's never going to be thought. For me personally, if you're someone who doesn't have the call, then you probably should just stay in that job, because you're going to need it. You're going to need that feeling. But if you have the call, I promise at the end of your life, you're never going to wish that you stayed working a job that you're miserable at for any longer than you already are. And an example that I mean by needing this call, right? Let me just give you a quick rundown of all the failures. And this is not even all of them, right? Like I've been a failure my entire life until now. Like literally, I've a complete loser failure. Okay. Just with YouTube though, I was working a different IT job that my dad just handed to me because he was high up in the company, right? I was a horrible employee. It was horrible. I was embarrassing the crap out of my dad because he got me the job. And this was during COVID, and we were working completely remote at this time. I neglected that job basically, but I ended up quitting because I was doing really well in the stock market, right? Like I was making like $500, $600 a day, but it was during 2020. Like everybody was making money in the stock market. I wasn't good. I was just getting lucky. I didn't know it back then, but I was just getting lucky. And I quit that job, ended up, the stock market went back to normal. I stopped making money, but I was also doing YouTube at the same time. That really slowed down. I was making like $700 a month or something like that back then on YouTube. And then, I went back, had to get a job. That was the fire extinguisher technician job. Then I got an IT job, and then YouTube really took off for me around that time. But I had one channel at the time. That one channel was making me 10, 15K a month. I was on top of the world. I felt like the king of the world. I did it. I remember texting my friend Dylan. I was like, I did it. He was like, did what? Like, what the hell are you talking about? I sent him a screenshot of my first 10K month from YouTube. And it was the best feeling ever, man. That 0 to 10K a month, best feeling ever. I felt like the king, top of the world, making more money than all my friends who went to college, making more money than everybody in my family, basically, right? But here's the thing. The channel ended up getting banned for no reason, right? There was no reason of my own, no fault of my own. The channel had no strikes, no warnings, nothing. The channel just got banned one day. And I ended up getting the channel back years later. Like I now have the channel back and it generates me money every month. Super grateful for that. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because all of these failures, especially the channel getting banned, I genuinely felt like that was God doing that. The reason why I felt like that, and I'm a Christian if you can't tell, but whatever religion you are, if you're, a Muslim, if you're not religious at all, and you just feel like it's the universe pushing you in this direction, I don't care. You need this though. And a couple weeks before that channel got banned, I prayed. And also, by the way, the first time, I never really said this before online, but the first time I've ever really yielded to God, where I was like, okay, it's all in your hands. And that's the scariest thing ever for me. I hate going on airplanes because I hate being out of control. I hate feeling like I'm not in control of my destiny. People always tell me, oh, you have a higher chance of getting in a wreck in your car on the drive to the airport than you do getting, in a plane crash. I'm like, yeah, but at least I'm in control in the car, right? So I hate yielding control. the scariest thing ever is sitting back and saying like, God, Jesus, I completely yield to whatever path you place in front of me. Completely yield, whatever it is. I'll just do my best to succeed in whatever it is. I did that for the very first time and like seriously meant it while I was working that fire extinguisher technician job. That same day, I applied to like 5 jobs for remote IT positions. The next morning, I woke up to a job interview. That job interview ended up getting me that remote job. And if I didn't get that remote job, I would never be where I am right now. And I think that was the first act of God that really set me down this path. Ever since that moment, I've just believed that God is doing everything. And I always have this feeling that everything is working in my favor. Everything is working. Nothing can ever happen to me. Everything happens for me as long as I'm following the path that God wants me to follow. That's how I genuinely feel. Okay. And when that channel got banned, I had so many people reach out and they're like, man, I'm so sorry. Like they acted like it was the end for me. I actually had this one friend and he was trying to just comfort me. I appreciate it. But he's also a Christian. He was like, man, it's the devil. Like the devil saw that you were, you were really succeeding. I was the fastest growing channel in the niche. And like, it's the devil, and I was like, no, I think it's God. I think because I had prayed a couple of weeks before this happened. I said, I feel like I'm the king. I feel on top of the world, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm yielding to what God wants in this moment. So I yielded. I said, whatever you want, I'm cool with it. I'll follow it. A couple of weeks later, the channel gets banned out of nowhere. I was like, this has to be a sign. It has to be. And then like, there's so many other coincidences that happened right after that. But it led me down this path where I'm able to impact so many lives. I have clients that I'm helping, leave their 9-to-5s. I'm helping, it's crazy. It's a crazy path that I've been set down. I'm so grateful for it. But the reason why I'm saying any of this is because if I didn't have this belief that it was God pushing me in this direction, if it was anybody else who didn't have a belief like that, that would have crushed them. And that would have been the killing blow for any chance that they have at being an entrepreneur or being a YouTuber or being self-employed. Anybody else would have gotten banned, gotten that income taken away, panicked, and went right back into working a 9-to-5 and probably would have been stuck there forever. But I didn't do that. I didn't panic because I knew it was God pushing me down a different path. I genuinely think it was him saying, you're almost there, but you just got to go a little bit this way. And so what ended up happening is I was walking my dog a few days later. I had a decent amount of money saved up, luckily, from the channel. So I was walking my dog and I was just trying to figure out, like, what do I want to do now? What should I do? Like, what does God want me to do? And I had this random guy just randomly autoplay as I'm walking my dog. And it was this guy named Brandon Forbes. I've talked about him before. And he was talking about starting a coaching business. And I was like, man, that sounds pretty cool. A coaching business. Never heard of that before. Wonder what that is. I wonder if I can help people grow on YouTube, whatever. But then at the end of the video, he mentioned that he was a Christian. And I was like, this has to be a sign. Like there's no way that it's not a sign. I just felt this call. And then I ended up purchasing his mentorship. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Genuinely, it changed everything for me. It changed my entire viewpoint on what is possible when it comes to making money. I thought I was a king at 10 to 15K a month. Dude, I got into this mentorship, into this community, and every single person that I talked to, I was like, hey man, how's business? Oh, I made like 70K this month, bit of a down month. Oh, I made 150K this month. I'm hoping to make 200 next month. Every single person. If you're around everybody that you're around is like that, you're eventually going to also be like that. And so instead of thinking I'm the king for making 10 to 15K a month, I started to think, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I only making 10 to 15K a month? And then everything changed. Everything changed. I saw these kids, 17, 18 years old, making 100K a month. Like everything changed. My entire mindset about money changed. And I think that's why God pushed me in that direction, right? And then I started a new channel in the same niche. That one took off even way faster than the first one did. I made like 24,000 in like the second month that channel existed. started a few other channels, and then I also got that original channel unbanned. You know, I feel like I had this strong feeling whenever that channel got unbanned that it was kind of like God saying, yes, this is the right path. You know, I don't know. That's the feeling that I got, where it was like, now you're there. Now you're going down the right path. I don't think that I've made it or anything like that, but I just think it was him saying, now you're down the right path. You know, it was just this positive signal where it's like, yeah, you're going somewhat in the right direction, at least. So I think you need that call, because there's going to be so many moments like that where you think you're the king, you think you're on top of the world, and then you get punched in the face. And not just punched in the face, but you get knocked down, and then they're still kicking you while you're down. You know, that's what it felt like when that channel got banned. And if you don't have that call, like I said, you'd be just back in a 9-to-5 in the next week, because you'd be panicking, you know, and you're thinking, well, maybe this isn't for me. But for a lot of you watching this, you probably just have that burning desire inside of you where it's like, no matter how much you try to suppress it, it's always going to be there. And I would just say, if you feel that, if you genuinely feel that inside of you, that burning desire, use the rocking chair test. You know, intuitively, you know what you need to be doing. And you also know exactly what future you is going to be thinking at the end of your life. What choice would they want you to make right now? Would it be to just continue working that cubicle, or working in that warehouse, or driving around Uber Eats, whatever? Or would it be to take a chance? Probably take the chance. A philosophy that I also live by, always. Even before Justin Waller, I've always had this philosophy, is you always want to be the man in the arena, right? There's, you know, you go to a baseball game, there's thousands of people in the stands yelling at the players. Oh, you should have made that play. You suck. Why'd you strike out? Umpires suck. Everybody sucks, right? None of them are in the arena, though. They're all on the outside, watching, paying to watch these players play the game that they say suck. But you're paying to go watch them. Always be the man in the arena, right? Always be the gladiator in the arena. Let them say whatever the hell they want. They're paying to watch you play. You know? That's something I always live by. And then also another easy way to do it is just, what would make the better story? What decision right now that you can make would make the better story? Would it be, you know, to continue working the 9-to-5 job, or would it be to go all in and drop everything and invest everything that you have into, I don't know, a course or mentorship, or I don't know. It could be investing a bunch of money. This is not financial advice. Okay. It could be, you know, the stock market's really down right now. Maybe you want to invest all your savings into the stock market. I don't know what you want to do, but whatever crossroads you're at, just ask yourself, what would make the better story? Which choice would you appreciate more at the end of your life? And it's not going to steer you wrong. It might not always yield the results immediately that you think it's going to yield, but it's not going to steer you wrong. You know what choice you would want you to make at the end of your life. You know that already. You know? And, you know, I don't want to go too woo-woo in this video, so I think I'll probably make a follow-up video. But you can genuinely become a different person. A huge way to do this is just start keeping the promises to yourself. That's another thing you have to do on this road of entrepreneurship. Confidence is not, and Alex Hormozi said this, a confidence is not built by yelling affirmations in the mirror. You can't just say, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm rich, over and over again in the mirror, and then all of a sudden it just happens. All of a sudden you're just confident. That's not how it works. Confidence is made by building up an undeniable stack of evidence that you are who you say you are. Naval Ravikant always says, self-esteem is just the reputation that you have with yourself. If you keep telling yourself over and over again, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, I'm going to be consistent this whole year. I bet a lot of you probably watching this said that. January 1st, you're like, this year, I'm going to be consistent on YouTube. I'm going to become a full-time YouTuber this year. It's April 7th at the time of me recording this, and you probably gave up already. Do you think that does good for your self-esteem and your confidence, or do you think it does bad? Because you can't keep a single promise to yourself. And that's how I was too. I was a fat kid. I was a loser, going to be broke for the rest of my life, just playing video games, addicted all day, every day. And I still slip into these times where it's like, I don't really want to work. And I'll give into that sometimes, where it's like, I don't really want to make a video. I don't want to make an Instagram reel. I don't want to post a story. I don't want to do this, but I have to do it. I have to keep this reputation with myself. I have to do it. And then once you start building that momentum, once you create that initial momentum, it becomes so much easier. I was having this conversation with a friend earlier today where we were talking about this exact topic, about how easy it becomes when you have that positive momentum. And it doesn't even mean results. It's just the momentum of putting in the inputs, doing the thing initially. I don't actually know the statistic on this, but just as an example, it's something like this. When it comes to rocket ships, when they're going to the moon or going to outer space or whatever, I don't know if we actually went to the moon. Okay, we don't have to talk about that right now, but rocket ships that go to space, it takes like 80% of their fuel or something crazy to just get out of the atmosphere. Once you reach escape velocity, it's easy. You just coast. You just let the momentum carry you now. But getting off the ground is the hardest part. Sitting down to record, that's the hardest part. Recording the first few videos, that's the hardest part. Once you record those first few videos, you're not going to want to stop that momentum. It's addicting. So I dropped everything to get rich from the YouTube platform, right? I would say it worked out pretty damn well. I'm super grateful for where I am now. Who knows where it's going to be in 5 years? I don't know. Yeah, YouTube's only growing. YouTube's only getting bigger and bigger. So, you know, God willing, I hope it continues in that direction for me personally. Who knows? I'm super grateful for everything that's happened so far. Regardless of what happens financially, views wise, whatever with my channels, the person that I've become is the part that I'm most proud of. I know now that I have a skill set that can pay me for the rest of my life. Even if it's not with YouTube, just the skill set of understanding how to run a business, and then also having the mindset and the grit and the I don't even know what word it's late at night right now, so I'm blanking on the word, but the ability to not give up. I know I have that now. And when you combine a skill set, an actual skill set, with that ability to never give up, no matter how many times you get knocked down, you never give up. You always get back up. That is true freedom. When you combine the skill set with that ability, that resilience, that's when you have freedom. These people who are catching a crypto pump and a lot of people who are going to make a lot of money off the stock market very soon because it's very red. These people are going to make a lot of money off the stock market, but they still don't have a skill set. They still don't have the resilience. It's very important to build a skill set, but it's also very important to go through tough times and come out the other side and keep promises to yourself, even when the promises are really hard. I don't want to work out every single day. I don't want to stick to my diet. I don't want to work. I'd rather just play video games all day. And I have the money in my bank account to just play video games all day for the next 5 years and be completely fine. I have really nice cars already. I have my dream cars already. I don't want to do this stuff, but you got to keep the promises to yourself. Okay. So one last thing that I'll leave you with, I don't even know what the hell this video was really about. I just kind of wanted to record a video, but one last thing that I'll leave you with on this video. Do the rocking chair test for every single crossroads that you're at right now, and I promise you it will not lead you wrong. It's never led me wrong. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. See you guys in the next video. If you want help with your YouTube channel, you know, you want to go full-time on YouTube in the next 90 days or 60 days, whatever, it'll be fast, okay? I don't want to make specific days promises, but you're going to go full-time on YouTube. You're going to make a shit ton of money. If you want to do that, go ahead and book a call with the top link in the description. We'll just have a quick convo. Make sure you're a good fit. Make sure I can help you out. If I can, we'll get you enrolled and we'll get you making money super quick. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.